Hi. Hello, I want to present the next speaker. He's a DevOps engineering lead at Intellias. In his career, he's worked with a lot of companies and growing startups, helping them bring their visions into life as beautiful digital products. Today, he'll share with us his insights on cloud cost optimization. As he says, money is not a problem, the amount is. Taras, the stage is yours.
Hello, thank you for coming. It's really nice to see you here. So my presentation is about money and money in cloud. But before we begin, let's say hello to my imaginated friend, FinOps. Actually, FinOps is more framework, or if you want to say methodology, that currently used to optimize cloud cost for entry of organization. In general, in our days, FinOps is very valuable person from the perspective of money, his service cost, and money that he can bring the company for the compensation of their cloud cost investment. The purpose of FinOps is to create a culture and framework and implement it inside of organization. So according to our vision, FinOps should work under the cost optimization. But if we will take some research about what FinOps actually do, they create a culture. FinOps create a visibility under the cloud cost consumption. They manage, report, budgets, and only 20% of FinOps work is really related to optimizing cloud cost. So some people say that money is not the most important topic in the world. The love is. Fortunately, my friend and me, both, we love money. Let's talk about money first. The media salary for FinOps is something like 150,000 per year. So it's a little bit more than DevOps for the current market. And it's related to current situation in the market. Market overheated, a lot of the company work in cloud, a lot of company provide service, and all we are use this cloud technology. So everybody want to have more benefits from the cloud and spend as less money as it possible. So from the current market, the cheapest FinOps you can find in LATAM region, in Colombia and Argentina. It will be some specific for hiring there, so you need to make a really good technical interview, but in the end, the quality will be approximately the same as in Europe, as in United States, but the payment will be almost 2 times less than higher FinOps in Europe. And let's say hello to me. I'm not FinOps, I'm engineering lead. So currently I work as DevOps engineering lead for Intellias company. And entire my career for 20 years in IT, I work with budgets and with money. So 15 years from this 20 years, I work in fintech and was responsible for different payment solution, for support of the solution, for optimizing, delivery to production, and everything about payment, everything about money. That's why this topic is very familiar to me. And let's play the game for beginning. So the legend for game is very easy. If this pattern is well known for you, if you heard about this pattern before, you just say yeah after question. If not, if it's not your history, if you never heard about it, you just say nah after question. So the first pattern. Management buy new tools, something very expensive, for example, for monitoring, even without consultants with your team before create this purchase. Yeah or nah? Yeah, really. So the pattern that mostly of people, I think, meet in the daily routine. Solution work pretty good on dev, but when it's released on production, it's work not so good as expected. But now it's a problem of operation. On dev it's work fine, and operation should solve this problem on production. Yeah or no? And one more pattern. To solve any question, any topic, or any performance issue, just add more resources, and it will work fine. Yeah or no? Cool. And the last one, it's my favorite, when money is not a problem at all. So you can release on production, it's the main thing, and money is not a problem and not a question. Yeah or no? Nah. So this is exact case that I meet during my career in previous year, and it's the most interesting. So let's start from the history of cost optimization. In the beginning of my enterprise journey, everything was very, very easy. It was a horizontal and vertical scaling. You need more resources, you will add more servers or more blade to your rack. There is no free space on your rack, you need to buy one more rack. And of course, you have only problem with cooling, with power supply, and with bills for all this stuff. But even in this time, investment to support all this hardware and software sometimes cost much more than the software and hardware it's all. For example, history about my friend, not me. So he ordered one huge IBM rack for the data center, and when rack was delivered after the half year from IBM, my friend realized that it's not possible to put it on elevator and to deliver it on the 6th floor. So in the data room, we need to make a hole in the roof and use some special techniques to move the server rack inside. The good idea was to create a huge window instead of new wall there, because in 1 year or a little bit even less, we will need to deliver a second rack, the same like this. So, and this construction work, it cost almost the same price as hardware itself. And even after all this stuff, it was some electricity cut, it was some problem with power supply, with generator, and it was the outage of data rooms. And after all this hardware year, we start to work in cloud. So cloud journey was interesting to company because everybody wanted to go to cloud, and it was the trend, like artificial intelligence now. So company want to go to the cloud to have a nice press release that they use cloud for these resources. Engineers want to go to cloud to have an additional line in the CV that they use cloud product and they totally know about it. So it was a time of the huge mess. For example, my friends implement one payment solution in cloud as a minimum valuable product to see how it's work, to give a client overview that it's work much better than on-prem, and it's easy to scale, and there is no limitation of the number of CPU and memory. So you can scale it however you want. So client decided to check this opportunity, and he created a load testing. Load testing started somewhere in Friday in the middle of the day, where we not work as engineers, and finished in Monday morning when we returned to work and realized that cloud bill is something like 1 year spending for research and development in Azure Cloud. So it was used just for the 1 weekends. Yes, AWS handles a lot, no problem, but we don't have the money for the rest of the year for our research and development at cloud. So we will need to make a pause. And what about now? Currently, almost all companies use the cloud for their products. In case of company use on-prem or some data storage, it's usually related to some legacy or to some specific work. But currently, we're on optimization stage. Optimization stage is the best part for my friend, for FinOps, to work for optimization and to reduce cloud computing bills. Also to solve scalability questions and vendor lock, because some companies start to work with one vendor, for example, AWS. And with huge infrastructure with AWS, now it's almost impossible to separate this infrastructure between different cloud providers. And soon enough, it will be the update of prices in cloud. So it will be very great to have cloud agnostic solution. And FinOps operation, of course, can work under all this risk to evaluate it and to explain customer where you need to invest to cloud agnostic solution and when it will be okay to use only one cloud. Let's talk a little bit about cloud market. So in the first quarter of this year, only the revenue of our cloud providers was around the $60 billion. It's only the revenue. And it grows so fast, something like 10, sometimes 15% per year. And it's only revenue for 1 quarter. And if we will look for the prices, it's $600 billion per year. It's almost the price, it's almost the market price for the old tobacco industry markets in 2021. Now it's a little bit better, now it's a little bit more, but still, not everyone in this room smoke, but everyone use cloud products. So in any case, this cloud price will increase and increase for every year. And unfortunately, currently we're on stage where a lot of cloud providers use some special program to make a new customer, to create a new customer, or to move new customer to the cloud. For example, AWS create a MAP, Migration Acceleration Program. They pay third-party vendors for migration of different companies and use of AWS cloud. And for companies, they propose a free credits. Starting from the end of the year, compensation for this migration will be not the full coverage, but only 10%. And starting from the next year, it will be no credit money for these companies that already migrated to cloud. So it's the market-specific time. In case if some companies use this program and migrate to cloud, and they are not cloud agnostic, so in any case, they will need to use the cloud, and they will need to optimize their cost. Let's return to optimization. The most important topic from my side, you should know your stakeholders, people who are interested in cloud optimization in your company. And here is no any advice, you just need to find this company for your, you just need to find these people in your company or for your clients. So operation should be interested in cloud optimization from one part, but usually not. Operation want to create a nice product and don't want to care about this product, do not want to have an on-call. They want to have scalability with this product with some additional resources. So everything will be easy scalable, and of course it will be overprocessed and use more resources that it's definitely need. Almost the same for monitoring team. Usually monitoring team responsible only to create monitoring, create some alarm, and they want to prevent the issue when it will be too much resource consumption. That's why they will add some additional resource. Regarding the compliance and regulation, only one time in the whole history of my work, compliance and regulation was helpful in the cost optimization topic. For everything else, for implementation, for example, of new product stack, of new technology, compliance and regulation was a huge pain, because you need to improve your product and you need to use new technology, and compliance say, oh, sorry, we don't have experience with this technology. Let's share an experience first. Let's find somebody who can support it in our organization first, and then you as contractor will be able to improve this technology. And almost the same for decision maker. It seems like it's very easy to say to decision maker, oh, hello, I want to reduce price of your cloud bill like for 10%, and you will have a few thousand hundreds of euro or dollars for any other stuff. But sometimes, unfortunately, it's not work. And here is a real-time story, real-life story. So one of companies that my friends consult with revenue about 200 billion per year and operational revenue of 35 billions want to create a product. It's something like Apple website do. They want to replace 200 vendors that provide a digital solution with one of their product. And I joined this journey almost 2 months before release on production. Company have a huge problem, and they even don't have the operational readiness model for release to production. So the main topic was to release onto production in time. And money was not a problem, cost was not a problem at all. Only release to production. There is no time to improve something, there is no time to fix bug. We need to release to production first, and then we can do everything. And nothing worked. So we understand that resource was overestimated, and it was additionally fixed by technical lead of company and to give the best possible experience for market. So when company released the product on the market, the price only for one market was something like $2 million for cloud payment for 1 month. And the return from market was a little bit less than 100,000 per 1 month. So you can evaluate that this product from the operational point of view have no sense at all. But we will return to the story. So in case if we want to implement this cost optimization in our organization or propose it as a consulting service to other cost optimization, we need to know about stages and efforts that we create. The first, of course, it will be assessment. In case if you want to implement it in your organization, I think that you know everything about our organization, everything about process, how it's working inside, and everything about technical stack. But from consultant's perspective, everything starting from assessment. When we analyze cloud usage, when we create a proper documentation, in case if there is no any network diagrams or architecture overview, we create it first. We do all this preparation to make a best possible proposal for setting up the optimization cost, because we need to know a technical stack, and of course we need to know a business to realize what is the most important for company and what is the less important. Then we create a proposal and discuss this proposal with customer. Usually it takes up to 5 days of time to give if you will give a very nice proposal from the initial, for example, the spending for the cloud infrastructure will be deducted on the 50%. Then usually customers say, okay, let's just do it. We don't need to discuss anything. In case if it will be the long part, for example, it will be re-engineering of product, it will be some changes in services, it will be decommission of some services, replace them with microservice architecture. Of course, you need to discuss it with customer in advance. And then implementation. It can be a short-term implementation to fix the most critical resource consumption and make the steps as fast as possible. And it can be a roadmap for a future implementation that will take 1 or 2 years and will work and will give the benefits only in long-term period. As a result, it will be the cloud computer bill reduced. It's now let's return to our story for a huge customer who released to production their services without any problem with money, with cost, and so on. So the compliance of customer check cloud computing bill and say, oh, it's too much, and we release it only in one market and we have 100 market more. So in case if every market will cost us several millions dollars, it will be disaster. Let's do something very quick. So we start from assessment and we start to analyze how it's actually work. And even before any technical changes, we find that customer thinks that everybody who orders the tenant inside of this market from business is a customer, and they need to provide a best possible service for everyone. So no question, and there was no business analytic about the market. How many customers, what is the number of requests per second expected? So they just want to provide the best possible experience for everybody, and it was the business decision. And it's all. So my friends lead DevOps and security in this project. So he have access to some stuff and he have a power to decide. And it was decided to create a t-shirt sizing. So first of all, some instances that was not in use for like a week or more period just was decommissioned with notification to their owners. For everything else, my friends create a notification to customer that we realize under the log that usage of your tenants is some number of requests per second maximum. So we create a size of tenant that easily support existed loads, and if you want to improve the load or improve performance, you just need to create one request to support and it will be done almost automatically. And this kind of changes with only implementation of t-shirt sizing reduce customer platform bill from $2,500 per day to $120 per day. So no any re-engineering, no any change inside of services, no any implementation, even indexes, just creation of t-shirt sizing. And after customer sees so much improvement, they say, okay, let's do implementation, do everything you need, do everything you want, just give such result to all our services. And regarding the assessment, to make these changes, to collect all this information, first thing that you need to discuss with your customer is about access to your service. In case of we talk about cloud, there is a specific list of services that you need to access to make possible cloud optimization. I will talk a little bit less specifically for every of this cloud. So from the proposal point of view, absolutely need to discuss with your customer work that need to be done by customer or work that need to be done together with customers. Because sometimes it's surprise. Customer thinks that they hire consultant and consultant will do all the job. And it's enough to have some payment to consultant, and it's enough to wait for a few sprints until it will be implemented. So here is a few examples. You ask the customer to identify stakeholder and to grant access, as it was on the previous slide. For everything else, you do some work together. You define the goals, objectives, you will learn about business from customer, and you will prioritize these changes with customer. So everything else you will do only with you or yourself or with your team, and you just create a roadmap for customer when wait for implementation. So they know about it. What is the most important? The most important is utilization tracking and to have observability under the product. Without observability, it's almost impossible to implement right sizing. So for observability, usually every cloud provide its own tool, or you can use some free tool like Elasticstack and so on to have the utilization tracking. Additionally to utilization tracking, it will be great to have a tagging to understand what exact part of your infrastructure or company or team use these resources. And based on this information, it will be very easy to create a right sizing. Of course, right sizing is a very technical question, and we'll return to it a little bit later. There is a different technologies, there is a different tools that allow you to create right sizing. And reserve instances. Instance reservation for 3 years give you opportunity to reduce your custom platform bills for the 30%. You have some limitation. For example, if you reserve some instances, you will need to use it during the 3 years, but it gives up to 30% discount without any re-engineering, without any update to your services. You just need to stick to this plan and use it. And for nowadays, starting from this year, AWS, the same as Microsoft, allows the flexible usage. So you can reserve your instances for the 3 year, and in the same time, after the half year, you can change the deal. It's work almost the same as Martash. So you have some contract in beginning, but after some period, you're able to discuss it with cloud provider and to change it. For example, new architecture or new CPU were delivered to cloud, and by some reason you need to use exact this CPU. We have this pattern, we contact with Microsoft, and we easily update our plan for implementation. And automation. Of course, automation is everywhere. So the easiest example of automation is to shut down your development and QA infrastructure during the night when nobody uses it and when there is no test. So with automation, it's very easy to create something like 30, 50 or even more % cost deduction on your low environment, dev, QA, stage, production. So you just need to shut down or you just need to scale down when you don't use it. And so the same for automation for scalability. You can update your production, you can scale on your production only when it's needed. And when it's not needed, it can work on the less resource possible. Not the less important is usage of the spot instances. Usage of spot instances, especially for the low environment, will give you a huge benefits in price. So yes, from one hand, you cannot use it when do you want it exactly, but from other hand, the 90% of coverage for your work time routine, you can use it without any problem. And then about cost allocation. So in case if you have the proper tagging under your environment, the proper tagging under your cloud resources, you can easily determine what resources are very important for you. For example, what is the main services for production, what is the core services, and you can leave these core services without any changes until you will work with other services that are not so important, and until you have a good model of cost optimization and a good model for change of these services. Same for other team. For example, research and development team, in case if you have a not so great budget for resource development, can use limited resources compared to your production implementation. But still, it's possible to implement all the stuff in limited resources. Regarding the government policy of budget, yes, now is the age when everybody implements it, because it's very important from the point of view of future cost reduction. In case if you implement cost reduction once, you need to be sure that everything will work the same for the year and nobody will change it. So you will need to make this cost optimization again in just 1 month or 2 months or half year. That's why you need to use some governments and policies. So all these governments and policies actually already created by cloud providers, and they exist on the Microsoft and on AWS well architecture framework, so you can usually use it. And optimization tool. It's a separate topic to discussion. The best optimization tool for the clouds, the tools that you have and the tools that you know how to use. So from the statistic about the cloud optimization and FinOps culture, we can see that resource utilization tracking is the most used by all the respondents, and the same for budget management. So everybody wants to have observability under their resource and then have some budget to pre-discuss it with company leads or with customers, and then follow this budget. And when we talk about third-party tools, it's a lot of different third-party tools that can help you in optimization. But as I say before, observability is the key for it. In case if you implement observability with these tools, then possible, yes, you will need to use it because it's the best way and you already use this tool for observability. In case if you have no any tools for optimization cost in clouds, you can use native tool. It definitely will be enough and you do not need to buy something new. According to the research from the Foresters, the total economic for the only Microsoft cost management and billing tool usage is about the 50%, only by implementing recommendation from this tool in Microsoft. And the statistic for tools usage. As you see, native tool from Azure, for AWS, and from Google is the most used by everyone. And on the fourth place is a homegrown tool. From my experience 10 years ago, we almost don't have any observability under the budget by cloud management tooling. It was worked not so good, and there was no advisors as they exist now. So it was a time when we create our homegrown tools that show us our cloud cost from different cloud providers, from our on-prem, and aggregate all the stuff for one dashboard. Currently, this homegrown tool can be done with Elastic Stack Monitoring, for example, with Grafana, with API call to different clouds. It's very easy to do, and there is even some examples of implementation of these tools without necessary to buy something new. But from the old tools, the Appio and the Datadog is the most used. And again, the reason of usage of these tools, for example, for Datadog, because it's the most interesting and most used tool for observability in cloud and all. And from the statistic of usage different tools, again, the native tools is the most used as a primary tools for everybody. And the second place is the homegrown tool. Some company use it still, but they plan to they do not have a plan to support it in future. For example, as company of my friends, they have a very nice tool, they created more than 10 years ago, they still use it, but they understand that current tool for every cloud can cover all the stuff regarding the operation cost in clouds, and they do not need to invest anymore in the development of their own homegrown tool. That's why they can stop to develop it. Some tool I can recommend. So working as a DevOps, I'm really fan of infrastructure as a code approach, and I use Terraform everywhere where it's possible, especially for the multi-cloud purpose. And I can recommend you InfraCost tool. This tool will give you ability, first of all, to see value of your changes, and second of all, to have in GitHub for every commit, for every changes, amount of resource consumption that will be updated and will be changed. In case if your department that's responsible for finance will have some question, why do we increase or how do we decrease the cloud cost consumption, it can be very easy to find this request just in Git. Even to create a dashboard that will show you all your changes, all your merge requests, and the amount of money that this merge request changed for the tool. So definitely recommend these tools. It's absolutely free. It's very easy to use. And especially if you use GitHub, it's very easy to integrate. And a few words about how to start to work in different providers, in different cloud providers, in case if you still not done it. So for AWS, we have a well-architectured framework and well-architectured lab for this framework. This lab will give you initial information about how to use well-architectured framework and how to use cost deduction via this will architecture framework. It will allow you to create two strategies. The short implementation strategy, like what points can be implemented right now to decrease cloud cost, and the long-term implementation strategy that related to well-architecture framework from the perspective of Microsoft, how to implement services, where to use microservices, where you do not use microservices, and instead you want to use only monolith. All this information in well-architecture framework. And additionally, it's a finance management guide from AWS that have a very good description and step-by-step of actually all information that I previously give, especially for AWS. And of course, they have an advisor. In architecture sense, there is a cost optimization advisor. It analyzes your cost automatically, and it will give you suggestion of potential monthly saving. For example, in case if you use some instances and they load it for the 50%, and there is no public traffic on these instances, you work with them only from VPN, this advisor realizes that it's your low environment. And in case if you low environment, it proposes you a different payment model for this low environments. As an example for these spot instances. So very easy to use, very easy to see difference in cost that will be before and after implementation. And of course, it gives opportunity like a blue-green deploy to implement it only for the part of infrastructure and then compare the difference in productivity and in costs. What about Azure? Microsoft has the same Azure Well Architecture Framework, and cost optimization training is a part of this framework. Actually, Microsoft have a very good framework from the perspective of advice that they give, and of course they have very nice tools that can automatically analyze your cost, create a budget that you can handle, and create advice for you for this budget management. For example, advisor can give you and categorize different recommendations and estimate the prices for this recommendation implementation in real time. So right after you implement it, it can recalculate your budget for a future period, and you will just see the future difference in your budget trend. So very easy to use, almost the same 8 ways to optimize infrastructure that I discussed. But all this work from a box, all this work automatically and with nice user interface in Microsoft. Thank you. It was everything from my part, and we still have a few minutes for your questions.
All right. Thank you for the presentation, first of all. Which is the service which you find the usual culprit of the most unexpected cost in what you see in, say, Amazon and Azure?
Databases. Usually, it's not possible to scale database automatically, and everybody wants to prevent the issue when they have a blocker on the will have a performance problem in database, and database will be the most resource consumption from the perspective of service reliability. So the good observability under the database transactions will give you a few benefits. So first of all, you can prevent any unexpected traffic increase on your database. When the traffic will be increased, you can use some tools, for example, automatically Terraform implementation from monitoring to scale your database. It will be not automatically database scaling from cloud provider. It will be triggered, but still, in Microsoft and in Azure for RDS database, it works fine without any downtime.
Okay. How about CloudWatch?
CloudWatch actually it's an aggregator of everything in logs. If we talk about the price for the log handling, you can use, for example, hot and cold storage for CloudWatch log. Or in case if you use multi-clouds, and sometimes you can use multi-cloud with some on-prem storage. For example, for a couple of our customers, we store all cold logs not in AWS and Amazon Cloud, but on Hamster Cloud. So we move everything outside of Amazon for more than 1 week, because we do not need to analyze old logs that for more than 1 week. And in case if we need to analyze it, we just use Grafana instead of CloudWatch.
Is the moral of the story that you don't have to think about the cost of your project upfront? Like, because this is kind of how I interpret the story, that you said, okay, they didn't think about cost, and then at the end they launched it. It was absurdly costly, and then you managed to do the optimizations. Or there is another like side to the story, like a practice to somehow incorporate this kind of cost, like thinking about the cost, capacity planning in the design. Because certain decisions are hard to revert at the end. Give an example. There was a decision taken to use Kinesis, AWS Kinesis. Turned out to be a very bad decision from a cost perspective, because Kinesis, like apart from how cost effective it is, you pay a certain amount per topic, and this was not good for the overall architecture. It has a lot of topics, and a lot of them are not very well utilized. So like, is there any efficient way to do FinOps kind of early in the process?
So here we're back to the question of our stakeholders. In case you can find the proper stakeholder and explain that implementation of analysis pre-production release is very important, and for us we can use R&D or research right before production, and it will cost for us time and money. And at the same time, the operational cost of production infrastructure will be less, and your stakeholder will agree with it, then yes, it will be very easy. But usually business have different vision. Business know what valuable for them and where do they get money from. And they do not want to reduce possibility of low performance or everything else in this part. They want to provide as better service as possible, and reduction, for example, of $10,000, $20,000 is not so important as reputation, as possibility of reputation risks. So, in case you will deal with your stakeholder, and you will have more time and more investment for research and development to create the best possible product of concept, for example, with Kinesis, without Kinesis, with some different stack, and then you can compare and select what works better. In case if you have no time, in case if you're limited of resources, then of course usually some architectural decision taken that we use exactly this technology, and right after production implementation it can be realized that it's cost not so, it costs much more than it's expected in the beginning.
Okay, thank you guys, we're out of time. Thank you, Taras, it was an insightful session. The next session will start in 10 minutes.
Thanks a lot.